Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About That. This week, you have the privilege of hearing from one of my sweet dear friends and recent Union graduate named Avery Lopez. I love Avery so very much and just so thankful for who she is, the story that she has to share with us in this conversation, and I have no doubt you will be blessed. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the conversation between myself and Avery Lopez. Okay, Avery Lopez, welcome to the show called Let's Talk About That.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Y'all, I need y'all to know, listeners, that, and I'm going to do this just because it's Avery Lopez. So, y'all, if you listen to the show, you've heard me say about previous guests that there are people that I will call them by their first and last name. And Avery Lopez is one of those people, as you can tell.
And you normally sing it, so I'm surprised you didn't sing it.
That's coming. That's coming. And so I need you all to know that a few years ago, Avery worked for me when I was in the admissions office, and she taught me, like, indirectly, I guess, how to sing my sentences, because she would...
It's weird how you catch on to the things that other people do.
Yeah.
You just, like, adapt them as your own.
Yeah. And you would come in, and I would say, hey, Avery, how's it going? And you would say something like, oh, it's going great.
And maybe it wasn't going great, but it just brought more joy, I guess, to sing something. Yeah.
And so like you said, like, I adopted that. And so to this day, I need you to know that I sing a lot of sentences throughout the day. So Avery Lopez taught me how to sing my sentences. So that's the fun fact that you need to know about Avery. But okay, before we get into Avery, I need you to know why I wanted Avery to be on this podcast this semester or any time. It's because of this. And this is what I love about Avery Lopez, because she's not going to say these things about herself, but this is what I love. So I watched Avery come in as a freshman and watched her all 4 years. She worked for me for 3 of those years. I've watched her transition into a young adult on her own outside of college life. And to watch a young person grow and develop in who they are as a person, of course, but the skills, the gifts, the talents that they have, the fact that she loves the Lord so sweetly, thoughtfully, considers her relationship with the Lord in a real personal, beautiful, deep, meaningful way. To watch that grow and evolve is like the best thing ever. I love it so much, and it has been just an absolute joy to watch her do that. So I have the utmost respect for you, Avery Lopez, and if I could go back in time and like redo my life a little bit, God, there would be some things that I would take out of your handbook that you don't even know you've written, including singing sentences, and adopt. So I love you and respect you so much. So I'm so glad that you're here on the show. And
yeah, thank you so much for saying all that. Wow.
Maybe we'll sing a sentence or two.
Oh, goodness. Maybe. I kind of stopped doing that. Maybe I need to pick it back up. I think I let you have it. I gifted it to you, and now you do it.
Okay, then maybe I'm gifting it to somebody else. Okay, Avery Lopez, what do you want the listeners to know about you? Who are you? What do you want to share with us?
Yeah, I'm Avery Lopez. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Originally, I came to Union to come to school, but I was actually born in Jackson, Tennessee. So my mom served on staff at Inglewood Baptist Church, and so we had a lot of family friends here, and kind of decided to come to Union because I was planning to go... Sorry, hit the mic. Planning to go somewhere else. But
we like to use our hands when we talk.
Yeah, we're big hand talkers. I'll try to keep them still. Planning to go to Oklahoma Baptist where my older siblings went, and then a bunch of people I knew started going to school there, and I was like, maybe I want to do something else. Just trying to find something unique, and so then me and my mom came and visited Union, and I was like, oh my word, I love it here. Toured the art department. My degree's in art, and now I'm a wedding and event designer, so I do flowers for events and weddings, and I plan them, so it's just a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun. I live in Jackson right now, so that's where the Lord has me.
Yeah. When did you graduate? Let people understand what time frame we're talking about here.
Yes, I graduated in 2022, so a year and a half ago, I guess, at this point, almost 2 years. And I started my company right after school, so been just working ever since, I guess.
You're a hard worker. I love that about you. That's one of the things that I love about you, and doesn't surprise me that you're doing so well in your business. We're going to get to that. But let's consider and talk about your time here as a student, just briefly, because I think it's always fun to hear different people's history, their perspective, what they did, what they loved, all the things. So you were just here, even though it feels like that was a long time ago. You were just here as a student. What are some of the highlights when you look back on those 4 years, whether it was fun, whether it was, it helped shape you, inform you, grow you? What are some of those things that you're like, man, that was really, really a big part of my journey and my story?
Yeah, I think all of those things. It was so much fun. I look back on college, and every year has gotten more fun. It was freshman year, and then even to now, 2 years out, life is more fun than it was in college. So there's that hope of I'm not going to live my best 4 years in college, but it was the best 4 years. I enjoyed every minute of it, and made a lot of really good friends. The people on Union's campus, in Union's community, are just crazy unbelievable of just the deep connections that you have here. I like to say that there's not a lot to do in Jackson, so you're just going to sit around a living room and talk some days, or drive in a car all night and talk to people. But that's how the deepest connections are formed. But also the art department, I mentioned earlier, I was an art major, and that played a huge role in one, my view of God. We had a specific class called 3D, and that, you'll remember my flower couch and probably every other project that I did, but it just stretched my imagination. And I didn't know, if you were to tell me in high school I would have been an art major, I'd have been like, what? That's so no, you're not. Well, I didn't feel like an artist coming into school.
Oh, that's funny, because that is very interesting, because too, a lot of people, the parent listening to this, if their child says, not that we're going to talk about this, I think we'll kind of talk about it a little indirectly, but well, why are you majoring in art? What are you going to do with that? That's everybody's $1 million question. What are you going to do with that? Will you paint a picture? You briefly said the flower couch. What was that project? Because I need you all to know. It sat outside. I walked by it, took a picture of it, and it was one of my all-time favorite things that I saw somebody create. So you were creative. You have this in your mind. You just maybe didn't realize what all the Lord was going to do with that. But briefly tell everybody what the flower couch was.
Yeah, so we, in 3D, you did a project every couple of weeks on a different element of design. So this one was texture. The object, I love explaining this to people. The object of the, the objective, I guess, was to make whatever you choose. So say someone did a pillow. To make you not see the pillow before you see the object you put on it, the texture you put on it.
Okay.
So someone did a pillow with glass on top. So then you saw the shattered glass. And then you can kind of make it very interpretive or whatever. Give it a meaning behind just the texture. Some of them were just textures. Anyways, my flower couch was this couch I got at Rifa with no cushions. And then I made a flower bed in it. And it sat in front of Dean Carrier's office for a while. And so that was really cool to just outside in the sub.
How did you come up with that? Did you just how did you think to do that?
Mr. Benson was our 3D professor. He used to be the chair of the art department. Now he's retired, but he would always say we were meant to live in a garden. And I just thought that was so beautiful. The idea of we were meant to live where God created Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve lived there until the fall. That was our purpose. And
Avery, so I've never heard you say that before.
Bringing the idea of okay, this couch that we've now built to live in our own homes. Everyone sits on a couch almost every day. And then paralleling it with the garden as the cushions. I don't know. It was just whenever he one time said that, it just stuck with me. And I was like, I have got to create something.
That's the most beautiful thing. Y'all, if you could watch this, literally the whole time she was talking, my mouth was just open because I was just thinking of the beautiful significance of that. Yeah. Say it one more time. What did he say?
Yeah, he said we were meant to live in a garden. We were made to live in a garden.
So you took this couch and turned it into a garden. And there were tulips, maybe?
There were tulips and some I don't know, perennial flowers that go in. I call them mailbox flowers, but
Okay, that's phenomenal. Okay, so that's a great, when you're looking back on your time here, that was formative. What else?
So formative.
What else did you just absolutely love?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. And I also just I feel like I knew a lot of people because I would introduce, and my friends wanted to know other people. And so I got to meet the friends that my friends made, if that makes sense. Freshman year was crazy. Like me and Grace McMurray, we just went and met every single person, which it helps because Grace was going to say, hello, what's your name? Find out their name. And then she would introduce me to whoever it was. So we were both pretty similar in that she's more outgoing than I am. So it was fun to like get to meet those people. And we just had so much fun. But it, like, looking back, it was like we just rode around in a car all the time. We went on drives and like drove around and talked to people.
You were involved in a sorority.
Yes, I was a Chi Omega.
Talk about just briefly like Greek life here on a Christian campus.
Yeah, so I was actually the social chair of our chapter here, and we're about to have our centennial celebration. I'm helping plan that too. So that's so fun to get to do. Greek life here is definitely different than other schools. I always have said, like, I don't think I would have been in Greek life had I gone to another school. But here, like, my deepest friendships and also my friendships that have brought me closest to the Lord are the friends that I've made in Chi Omega, which is so cool to get to say. But I'm just so thankful for every single girl that I met while in Chi Omega, and every I just feel so honored to have the friendships that I do. We still go on trips. I'm always trying to get everyone to go on a trip. Yeah. So Earth Day 2022. 2021 was our first Earth Day trip. But anyways, yeah, Greek life here is not like other schools. And again, you can find, I mean, not everyone's always living for the Lord, you know, and not, and that just comes with being a person, you know, but, and in college, you know, you're trying to discover yourself. Some people find freshman year that, oh, I'm going to live for the Lord. And, you know, some people don't find that until later on in college. But being surrounded by so many people that do love the Lord definitely encourages you to want to follow the Lord.
This is not a question you're prepared to answer, but you can answer it. I'm not worried about it.
Should I be?
No. What was, you know, because in conversations like this, it's easy for us to paint a picture of all the good, you know, like everything was just great. You had a great experience in art, and I can't wait to get to the part of our conversation about what you're doing now and what you've learned and how you were prepared. But was there anything in these 4 years that you just can look back on and go, that was hard, that was a difficult growth moment, or I don't know, and you may not have the right, or you're still not far enough away from it, or you may be sitting here going, you know, this was significant, this was difficult, but I learned it here, and I'm so glad I learned it here. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say the hardest thing, I don't talk a lot about it, but I should, because it's about the Lord's faithfulness. But my sophomore year, okay, Big and Little, remember this?
Yes.
Big and Little happened.
In the sorority world.
Freshman year, I'm taking my second semester, so many, like, science classes, math classes, that, like, I'm just not, statistics, no one's good at statistics.
If you're creative.
Anyways, I'm getting C's, right? So in Chi Omega, you have to have good grades. Like, that's the thing that I feel like people have defined Chi Omega as that for a long time. But I think it was, like, you had to have a 2.5 that semester. So, like, overall, I had higher than a 2.5. Anyways, no one cares about that little detail. But you had to have it that last semester. And so I got a bunch of C's. So I was like, I think I got a couple of C's and a B or whatever. So they were like, Avery, you can. And they didn't tell me until, we didn't find out, I guess, until right before Big Little week started. And they were like, Avery, you're not going to be able to pick up a little this week. And I was like, what? Like, already, like, was making plans, like, was just, I've never just been so, I've never been able to not get out of something. I know that sounds silly, but, like, that was my first time that I was like, I've tried everything that I've ever done, or I've tried to fix this problem, and I can't fix it. And so I was like, well, that's terrible. I was so sad. And honestly, that's when I think the admissions office was working in your office was one of the most like formative times for me there, because I could like, it was like a going away, like going away from like what I knew as Union. I got to come into the office and like wasn't really around all my sorority friends or like, and the excitement. We went on that trip to Memphis. Remember? That was our first time we went to Memphis.
Yes, I do remember.
So we went to a fair in Memphis, but I
Yeah.
got to go with Fran because it was the day of Big Little reveal, and so I wasn't obviously picking up a little. So we went, and I mean, I was so sad that day. And for a while, and I was just like, Lord, why? Like, and then I started just being like, okay, like, well, whatever it is, like, there's a song called Intentional by Travis Green, I think, and they sing it at my parents' church, but it says, all things are working for my good because he's intentional. He never fails me. And it's like over and over just repeated in my head, like, he never fails. And so like, which it like seems so silly to like think back, like this was groundbreaking in my mind about like the disappointment I was facing in my sorority. But like now, like if I hadn't had that moment, like I wouldn't remember the faithfulness of the Lord. And the faithfulness of the Lord was, I got Carly and Eva as my little. So I got two of who are my best friends now. And I would have only gotten one, first of all. And so it was so cool if someone would have said, hey, like, this is what your life's going to look like in the next year, I would have said, oh my word, okay, I'll wait, you know, but I didn't want to wait because I was like, all of my friends are getting a little and I'm not going to have one. And I mean, that was hard. And,
well, all you saw was and felt was loss.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I
just
just remember
like,
sitting in the car and I was like, Mom, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
Like, I'm think I'm done.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, you're not. Like, you're going to, it's going to be okay. And the Lord, Carly and Eva really are just one of the greatest, like, pictures of the Lord's faithfulness to me. And any time I think about, like, if I'm disappointed about something, I'm like, you know what? Like, the Lord's faithful. And whatever one of my favorite verses is Ephesians 3:20, that the Lord can do immeasurably more than we can ask, think, or imagine. And so whenever I think about that, I'm like, whatever my plan is, the Lord's plan is better.
Yes.
And so if I have to wait for something better, then I want that. I want to wait and be patient. But yeah.
That's a beautiful, beautiful lesson. I'm so glad that you had that to pull from, because that's just my favorite, one of my favorite stories ever. Just because students do experience loss, but the Lord is faithful. So thank you for sharing that. That's a real encouragement to people. Okay, let's talk about the fact that you graduated and you got this degree in art. Did you know, when did you begin to think, this is what I'm going to do? Because Avery Lopez, let me tell you right here, right now, it's not common and normal for a 22-year-old to graduate and then start their own company and know exactly. I know that you didn't know exactly what you were doing, but you had the courage, you had the audacity, you were, brave enough to step into this space and go, I'm going to have my own business. Because, there's a lot of students, there's a lot of teenagers out there in the world saying, yep, I want to do that too. But you got a college degree, and that's important to us here at Union because we do think that matters, is to be educated and formed and shaped as a whole person, intellectually, spiritually, relationally, all those things. When did you discover, this is what I'm going to do, and by golly, I'm going to do it? I need to know all the things.
Yeah, so coming into school, I wanted to, do you know what Rifle Paper Company is?
Yes.
I'm a big Rifle Paper Company girl. Like, my planners still, I just love all their little florals, everything. So I was like, I'm going to start my own Rifle Paper Company, my own stationery company. They sell planners, notes, whatever, everything. And so I was like, that would be so fun. I'm going to do that. And so I was like, okay, I'll be a graphic design major because that seems like what I should be doing. That's right. I'm going to learn how to do stationery, how to make it. That's what I should do. So then my sophomore year, I've just always loved planning events as well. Like, my whole family, like, my mom, my grandma, like my grandma literally always says, like, if you give me 10 minutes and a reason, I'll throw a party. Like that's her thing. That's kind of all of our thing. So anyways, so I think it was my junior year, we have to, and this is another thing about the art program here at Union is, they're like, okay, it's called mid-program. Junior year, you take a class and it's like, you are getting an art degree. What are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do with your art degree? Because how many people get an art degree and they're like struggling to find a job or struggling to pay their bills? So they're like, we're going to help you set up everything you need to do to go in an interview, go to investors, whatever you need to do to start do your own work for people, whoever. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, took this whole semester trying to think about what I wanted to do and realized, like, everything I've ever loved. So, like, photography, I did photography when I was, like, 12, like, got my first camera. I don't really take pictures anymore, but stationery, food, parties, flowers, just everything that I've ever loved, all wrapped up into the wedding industry. And I was like, why would I pick one if I can do everything I've ever loved? And so that's the coolest part, is that, like, I thought, oh, I need to do stationery. I love stationery, when I loved all these other things. But the Lord gifted me something that was like, oh, no, you don't have to pick. You can do all of them. So that's how I chose to be in the wedding industry and do events. But so it was really that mid-program class that I was like, okay, this is awesome. What I'm supposed to do. This is what I can do. Because I think that's the biggest thing, is people don't know what they can do. And so you have to explore those options. And without that class, I don't know that I would have explored all of my options.
I'll say this too, that I think is also very important in the college journey, that students begin to identify what they love, what they're good at. They have to know themselves well enough to know, I'm good at this. Because Avery, I can tell you right here, right now, I can look back on that sophomore year when you first started working for me. I saw the gifts in you and knew exactly where I could trust you and what you were good at, and keep pushing you in a lane that allowed you to develop that. And so just the fact that you had the awareness that I can do this. You're not bossy, but you know how to get things done. And I could see that very early on. And so I love, 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 love that about you. Okay, so you graduate, and tell everybody what the name of your business is, and let's talk about how Union prepared you for what you do now.
Yeah, my business is called Avery Liz Design Company. And really doing weddings all over. I was just in Colorado and North Carolina last year, so that was cool. But
how do they
specifically
find you?
Tennessee? A lot of people are people from Union that I went to school with. The whole culture here is you get married by the spring, so that's really kept me in business. So I'm really thankful for that. But no.
Did you know what you were doing on the, like, because the creative side of, like, the wedding, like, when you picture a wedding, you're thinking about, everybody's been to a wedding, they're thinking about those flowers, they're thinking about, you know, the choreography, so to speak, the comings and goings and the movement of it all. They can picture the reception, they can picture all those things that you are a part of and you're doing. But then there's this whole nother world out there that I'm guessing, I don't know, you may tell me differently, that is like a business side of it.
Oh yeah.
That you're like, did you just like figure it out? What does that part of it look like? Because that's the hard part to me when you're gifted over here. And you said earlier, I'm not really math, don't give me statistics. However, you're having to use some of that now.
For sure. Yeah, I also should have mentioned before that I worked at 2 wedding venues in Jackson whenever I was in college with Angela Snyder and Carl Snyder, and Angela really just poured into me a lot that year, asked me to do her daughter's birthday party. That's kind of how you connected us, Fran. And she was like, come out and work at the venue. So I got to have hands-on experience there, just like going to weddings sometimes almost every weekend. So lots of experience, but I wouldn't have known, like, Angela really put people in my corner of like, okay, here's who you should use for an accountant, like because I don't know that I would have now I have friends that are accountants being graduated from school, but I wouldn't have been a sophomore and looking into my senior year.
She's coughing, everyone, because 'tis the January season. You should see us. She's got two cups. I've got a smoothie, and she's getting all choked up.
You're going to have to edit that out.
We can edit that out. Okay.
Sorry.
So you know what? That's also too, while you're recovering from all this, it's also just really important for people, like when you're in college, thinking about connecting with those adults around you that can help connect you to the right people, because it's kind of like you don't want to be the college student that just sits back and does the thing and then graduates and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have any experience. I don't know people. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then you're trying to figure it out at 22 and 23 years old, and you feel a little bit behind. So it's so super important to connect with as many people as you possibly can. So
yeah, so that's one of my biggest pieces of advice is trying to get connected into a local church. That's where I'm still coughing. Okay, we should be good. Okay, that's one of my biggest pieces of advice is trying to get connected into a local church, and or even just like seeking new atmosphere and like getting to work with you. I would come and sit in your office and just talk about whatever, like even during that time of during big and little thing, like you were the person I would just come sit in your office, and like when things were hard, I would come sit in your office and shut the door when I needed to. And so to have a mentor and to have someone pouring into your life of like, and I would say even friendships, just like people saying, hey, you're really good at this.
Right.
Like, again, you're not going to know what you like. You're not going to know what you are good at unless people are voicing that over your life. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me of being at Union is people were so encouraging. Like no one withheld a compliment, and I think I learned really in my time here. I was like, okay, if people aren't withholding compliments, every time I see something in someone, I need to say it because
for sure.
that has spoke so much into me. Yeah.
It's life-changing. We don't do enough of it.
How much confidence does it build in you when someone's like, hey, you're doing really good?
As a student?
Because you're like, wait, maybe, am I doing good? But when someone's like, you're doing good, you're like, okay, I'm doing good.
Do you feel like you're doing good now? Now that you're a whole year and a half, almost 2 years out, do you feel like, okay, I know what I'm doing?
And I think I do, but I think because of the voices I still have in my life, like because of my friendships that I have of when I show them like, oh, here's the invitation I was just working on, they're like, oh my word, this is so good. Like if they're like, I'd be like, okay, maybe it was bad, or, and even like getting to ask my friends questions of like, oh, what do you think about this? And their honest response has played a huge role. So yeah, getting connected and also just being in community with people. Yeah. I think about, too, my small group leader, my senior year of college, second semester, went to fellowship college for the first time, sat next to, I was like, whose group am I going to be in? I saw this super cute woman, and I was like, I'm going to be at her table. Sat down, and Kristen Hunt, she is still my small group leader today. They started, her and her husband, Jeremy, started a young adults ministry, not young adults ministry, but a young adult small group. And I'm in that group. And so like just being bold enough to be like, okay, I'm going to sit with, or okay, I'm going to pick their group. Because I mean, people are, especially when you go into a college ministry, college fellowship is awesome because they have other adults that are there to lead your group. And so like you don't have to seek out a random woman in the church. You can go sit in Kristen Hunt's small group and then be discipled by her without even having to put much work into it,
Right. Oh, I love that. Okay. Can we give a quick, I want to tell you people too that if you've listened to the show, then you know that Emma Kate Hare has also been on this podcast before too, but she and Avery are doing something new. It's new to Union. I'm really proud of this event, and I think it's got a lot of potential, but one thing that we're doing, and I want to offer multiple times throughout the year, is we're calling it What's Next. What's next as you're growing from a college student and transitioning into the adult world. And so her and Emma Kate, I'm so proud of you all. Y'all are going to help our current students begin to examine, consider, think about what does that look like when we make this move. Emma Kate works here at Union. You both have graduated. You're both doing great and successful. Roommates. And so I really think, too, that I'm proud of that, and I'm so thankful to both of you all for being the guinea pigs for this event. Okay, let's, as we think, as you look back on your time at Union, if there was anything that, oh man, I wish we had, something that we don't have, something that could be improved upon, something that could be different, what do you look back on and think, oh man, I'd love to see whatever occur?
Yeah, looking back, on, I guess, asking this question to myself, I'm like, I don't think that there's that much that I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that, which is so cool to not look back and be like, oh, I regret all these things. But one thing that I thought of was that Jackson is like a college town. Union is not the only college. And I wish that we could have met people from other colleges. I think that would have been so cool. Freed Hardman not being far away. And I know people interacted with other people at other schools, but mostly because they knew them. I think they didn't meet them during college. And I think that would have been a cool opportunity. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a church thing, that getting more churches to come together and like a city thing, or if it's a Union thing. But I thought that would have been so cool of getting to know people or Lambeth on Memphis at Lambeth's campus is so beautiful. I used to go and walk around there, but never really met anyone to talk to. So I would have been like, hey, do you want to be my friend?
Listen, you never know. Dr. Dub listens to every episode.
Oh, wow.
So maybe
Hello, Dr. Dub.
Will have some brilliant idea, because I love that. That's great. Okay, I will always be cheering you on. If anybody listening needs flowers, wedding consultation, a wedding coordinator, anything wedding, I want you to look up. Tell us again what the name of it is.
Avery Liz Design Co. on Instagram.
And they can find you there. They can contact you.
Or averylizdesign.co.com. It'll be out probably by the time this comes out. So.
Love it. Anything new and exciting that you can share on the horizon, or is it all just still kind of same stuff, learning how to be a young adult with your own business, Avery?
Yeah.
Same old. Same
old. Just enjoying every day.
Where's the most exciting place? Was Colorado pretty awesome to go do a wedding there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was really, I'm like, everyone should get married on top of a mountain after experience. It's crazy. It's so beautiful.
Did you know these people, or did they?
Yeah, it was a girl. She came, her name's Emmy, and she played on the soccer team fall semester freshman year. So we connected then, and then
Love it.
She transferred and ended up transferring out to Colorado Christian. So
okay. I love this.
So cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of all my plans. I'm like in a downtime right now, so that's really nice to not have to be gone. I was gone almost at least every 2 weeks for sure, and so
it's hard
get to just be at home. I'm like, what can I make? What can I make for dinner tonight? Being home. And so
I love it.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so thankful that you chose to come to Union, and the footprint that you have left on this campus, and the work ethic, the creativity, the joy, the hope, all the things that you're leaving behind for those that are younger than you. It's beautiful, and it's been so much fun to watch. So no matter where you are, what you're doing, where you go, this place, and myself included, will be just your biggest fan. So bravo to you, Avery Lopez.
Thank you. I love you so much. It's been I don't know where I would be without Union. All the people I've met here, and all of the friendships I've gained here, I would not be where I'm at. Yeah. So I'm honored to get to be a part of this community, and hopefully give back to it as well.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We talked about it, and if you have any questions at all, you know how to find me, fthomas@uu.edu, and I'm happy to help. But thanks, Avery. We love you so much.
Love you.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Have a fantastic day and week. Thank you, Avery Lopez. I love you so much. So proud of you, my friend. If you want any information on how to contact Avery, I've put that in the show notes so you can check there. Also, have you been on campus for a visit? We would love to have you. You can schedule that online, uu.edu, and just search campus visits. But if you've done that and you simply have not applied, guess what? I've got a fee waiver code for you. Simply type in the word TALK, all capital letters, TALK, in the appropriate place in the application, and that fee will be waived. All right, everybody. Thanks always for listening. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day.